Sunday of September. Wow. Welcome to LCJ Live. Your new number one movie at number one is One Battle After Another. As expected, I didn't think that Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, was going to open to number one. It did okay. We'll get to those numbers in a second. If you're watching us live on YouTube Live, thank you. Send in your questions, your comments. Did you see One Battle After Another? I did on Thursday. I liked some of it. I didn't like a lot of it. We'll talk about it. And Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, and The Strangers Chapter 2 also opened this weekend. Did not do well. We'll get into all of that here. Tonight, also, the season premieres of Krapopolis, The Simpsons, and some of the other Fox Animation Domination shows. And of course, this weekend coming up, The Rock, in the movie I said 2 years ago was going to get him in the Best Actor Awards conversation. The Smashing Machine finally opens this week. We'll preview its box office and more coming up on LCJ Live. Thank you so much for being here. One Battle After Another is your number one movie with $22.4 million. That is lower than Leonardo DiCaprio's Killers of the Flower Moon, the film he did with Martin Scorsese from basically this time 2 years ago. That opened to $23.3 million and totaled $68 million. That was a longer film. This is a long movie, One Battle. It's 2 hours and 42 minutes, but Killers was, like 3.5? So even with a longer movie, Killers still made more money here in this opening weekend. But I think this could be the film, One Battle After Another, that could have legs and small drops over the next several weeks. We could sort of be in a Sinners situation. Warner Brothers, once again. Sinners had a okay opening weekend, 48.5 million, something like that. And then the next weekend it dropped only to 45, and then had great holds for several weeks. We could get that with One Battle After Another. The big talking point of this movie is the budget, which is anywhere between $130 and $175 million. So we'll see if it can eventually make a profit. This may be more of an awards play for Warner Brothers. This is also the final Warner Brothers release of 2025 on the calendar as of now, which is kind of crazy. But there we are with One Battle After Another. It's a movie that I wanted to love, but I couldn't quite get there. The direction from Paul Thomas Anderson in terms of the staging, the shot composition, the way he did certain things with that, I thought was very good. There are great moments in it, but a lot of the film to me felt heightened, over the top, especially Leo's performance. There have been like 5 movies in a row now where I look at Leo and I go, you're just being so over the top. Why? I like Leo in Titanic. He was good in Gatsby, some of these other films. He was very good in The Revenant. Not my favorite performance that year in the lead actor category, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Don't Look Up, Killers of the Flower Moon, now this. It's all over the top, Leo, and I just go, not a huge fan of the way you're approaching these roles lately, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a movie that is, like I said, heightened, long conversation scenes. It's like one run-on sentence. I was waiting to see where the punctuation mark would come in. Of like, okay, we get to this point and it makes a statement. It takes a long time to get to certain things. The road scene, you see, I like the look of the road scene, but there are some unrealistic factors with the road scene in terms of some of the timing and everything for it. And the Benicio del Toro character, he's not in it a lot. Sean Penn is also over the top. Where that goes with his character right to the end, there's issues I have with this movie. I wanted to be immersed, but it is not nearly as exciting or enthralling of an experience for me in terms of Paul Thomas Anderson movies as Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza. I prefer those two much more to this. I think this is slightly better than a couple of his other films. Inherent Vice, I really didn't care for. The Master, also not a huge fan of that. So out of his last 5 movies, I would rank them Licorice Pizza number 1. Then we would have Phantom Thread number 2. They're pretty close to each other, but I'd probably give the edge to Licorice Pizza. Then One Battle After Another is 3. I would say The Master is probably 4, Inherent Vice 5. I just did not get much out of Inherent Vice. Fanimator 101. It is October, and this week it'll be a month away from my most anticipated movie, Zootopia 2, which is basically about 2 months away as of now, with it coming out in Thanksgiving. But yes, Zootopia 2 is going to do huge numbers at the box office for sure. So yeah, one battle after another. It is long. There are stretches of it that you go, all right, you definitely could have tightened this, tightened that. The opening section sort of gets you going, but then the time jump, and that doesn't fully work. I've seen a lot of movies, including this film called All of You, which is now on Apple TV+, where the passage of time is approached in interesting ways, and how you make the characters look older or younger. A lot of people in a lot of movies have had a difficult time with that over the years, and you feel that a little bit in All of You, which I do recommend. It is a better movie than One Battle After Another, and a little challenging, I think, too, in One Battle After Another. The passage of time, the aging of characters. All of You stars Brett Goldstein and Imogen Poots. It's on Apple TV+. It's a rom-drama, a romantic drama, and it's about the passage of time and complex relationships and how they can get complicated even more than you think, and friendships and turning romantic, and it's some things we've seen before, but some things we really haven't, and the two of them are very good together, and the concept, it starts off with this sci-fi thing, but it becomes bigger than that and different than that most of the rest of the way. First half a little better than the second half, but I like what ends up happening because it stays true to itself. So All of You, check it out on Apple TV+. Do I think One Battle After Another is the best picture of the year? No. And do I think it'll win Best Picture of the Year? Well, let me say this. Let's take this to September to October, October to November, November to December, December to January, January to February, February to March. It'll be about March 15. We're still 5.5 months away from the Academy Awards and about 4 months away from when the nominations are coming out. We are so far away. Everyone who's saying this is going to win Best Picture will also throw Sinners back in the conversation, and they will also say Wicked for Good is going to win Best Picture, and Marty Supreme is going to win Best Picture, and some of the other films that haven't even been seen yet. Yeah. I mean, if you want to say it's going to win, great. I think approaching this award season for me, I look at it and go, it's so darn long. Why do we want to just put a label on these movies already? Oh, it's the Best Picture winner. Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson finally wins. All right. Yeah. Putting labels on it this early. If we get to early, mid-December, and some of the awards groups nominations come out, then you could start maybe doing it. But again, the Oscars is not until March 15th. Voting is going to end just a little bit before that. I think it's the 15th. So it's a lot to say that. You know, if you're excited, great. I'm going into this award season a little more of like, let's look at all the movies and then let's analyze. You can love a movie and you can say this person deserves to win something. But when you say it's going to happen, no. There are so many factors that go into all of this, as there are every single year. Look at Emilia Perez last year. Look at some of these other movies in the past that have had controversies come up and just other things come up and other movies and opinions and new members of the Academy and the old members of the Academy, all of that. And so you could say somebody deserves something, but then you may change your mind when you see another movie coming up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But One Battle After Another is your number one movie. Warner Brothers continues its streak of number one films, going all the way back earlier this year to Mickey 17, Sinners, Final Destination, F1, Minecraft, of course. What am I missing? Conjuring. And I may be missing one or two others, but Warner Brothers has had this really strong streak. That $40 million streak ends for opening weekends, which Minecraft started, but still the consecutive number ones for Warner Brothers is really, really impressive for the year. They got to $4 billion worldwide. Very good for them this year. Let's go to Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. It's your number two movie with $13.7 million, the Universal DreamWorks animation film. You want my conversation with director Ryan Craigo. Go to animationscoop.com as well as lcj.podbean.com. Enjoyed talking with Ryan. It's a third conversation I've had with him. And Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, right in line. That 13.7, right in line with Paw Patrol, the movie from 2021, which opened to 13.2 million, totaled 40.1. But the thing about Paw Patrol, the movie, was it wasn't playing in some of the major theatrical chains around the country, and it was also available on Paramount Plus. So then the second one came out, did 22 million, totaled 65. So we're even with the first Paw Patrol, but the first Paw Patrol would have made more money if more theater chains had picked it up. But still not bad. I was thinking off the Thursday number of 700,000, this was only going to do about 8 million. 13.7, it's a little lower than the 15 to 20 I was seeing. I was not thinking it was going to get to 20 million. 13.7, I don't think it's a disaster for Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. Number 3 is Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, added 7.1 million. It's at 118.2. Number 4 is The Conjuring Last Rites, 6.9 million. It's at 161.5 million, the 5th biggest film of the year for Warner Brothers. Number 5 is The Strangers Chapter 2, 5.9 million. Hardly anyone cared about this second chapter of The Strangers. Just 16 months after Chapter 1 opened to 11.8 million and totaled 35.2. Wow. The fact that a horror movie actually did about 3 times what the opening weekend is, not always the case. So Strangers Chapter 1, I mean, I'm not surprised Lionsgate had in the plans to do all 3 of these chapters, but you know, that was a mild success for Lionsgate last year. It was their second biggest film of the year. And now you're talking about half the people who went to the opening weekend of that one went to this opening weekend. Who's going to go to Chapter 3 at this point? It probably will do worse. 5.9 million is not a lot for The Strangers Chapter 2. Again, so many horror movies. What did I say last time here on LCJ Live? Every third movie that comes out is a horror movie, and, you know, oversaturation. We've got Bone Lake coming out next week, and others in October. Shelby Oaks is coming out, and several others. Black Phone 2. You know, I was at Dead of Winter the other night, and almost every trailer was a horror movie. People were like, what in the world are all these horror movies? So yeah, I saw Dead of Winter. It is the new Emma Thompson film. She's in the tundra, and she's fighting some bad guys, and Judy Greer as the main villain, and trying to help this young woman who's been captured and held hostage. And it's not a good film. It's just really ridiculous, and that ending is ridiculous. But Dead of Winter this weekend did almost 1.1 million. The majority of the money came from those Regal Mystery Movie AMC Screen Unseen showings. You could say the same for Eleanor the Great, June Squibb's new film from Scarlett Johansson. Only did about 900,000 this weekend. Again, the majority of money coming from the early AMC Screen Unseens they did for that. I like June Squibb in Eleanor the Great. The story is not perfect, but June Squibb is good. Not sure this box office will help her awards chances. Thelma had a small-ish open, but I think did 1.7, something like that, totaled up to 10 million. So it had legs last year. This is a better movie than Thelma, but it's more of a drama, even though it's a comedy, than Thelma was. So we'll see what happens with that. Number 6 is Him. Dropped big, dropped 10 million. It's down to 3.7 this weekend. It's at 20.8 million. One of the bigger disappointments for the year for Warner Brothers and certainly for producer Jordan Peele. Number 7 is The Long Walk, the Stephen King adaptation, added 3.4 million. It's at 28.8. It's the 4th biggest film of the year for Lionsgate, but it will pass Flight Risk to become number 3. Number 8, is Downton Abbey, the grand finale, added 3.3 million. It's at 39 million for Focus Features, their biggest film of the year. Still needs a little over 5 million to match what 2022's A New Era did. It's going to be close, and it's really, unfortunate if this ends up even lower than the last one. I know some people who are still going to see it now, but really that first Downton Abbey movie doing almost $97 million. Last one, 44. This, probably the same or less. Not great. I don't expect another Downton movie as much as I love these last 2 films. I don't expect another Downton movie. Maybe a TV show down the line, but clearly the fan base not quite as there as it was in 2019. Number 9 should be a film called They Call Him OG. Probably around 1.6 million. Not the official money on that. It added 3.8 million on Thursday. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Not a good film. 1.3 million. It's at 5.9. Also one of the huge flops of the year for Sony Columbia, which has not had a good year. Also this weekend, we don't have the money on the second weekend of the senior, but we do have the money for the trilogy of Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man, the original, 738,000. 1.1 million yesterday for Spider-Man 2, which added about 8 minutes of footage that had never been seen before. And then about 400,000 for the estimate for Spider-Man 3 for today. That shows you the drop-off. So combined, the Spider-Man trilogy from Fathom Events this weekend does $2.3 million. And we went through Eleanor the Great, and we went through Dead of Winter. So let's talk about some movies that are coming out this week. If you're joining us here, send in your questions and your comments here on LCJ Live. This week, The Smashing Machine. Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, highly anticipated. Will they both be on award season ballots, not just the Oscar ballot? Emily Blunt, finally an Oscar nominee for Oppenheimer. And Dwayne Johnson, you know, this is what I have wanted to see from him for so long, is him do a truly dramatic role. This is what I've been waiting for. So I hope he's great in The Smashing Machine. Kind of like Melissa McCarthy with Can You Ever Forgive Me? I was waiting for 5-6 years for her to do a drama, and she finally did it and knocked it out of the park. So we've got The Smashing Machine from A24 this week, but it's probably not going to be number one because of Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, release party of a showgirl, official release party of a showgirl, is expected to do maybe $30 to $50 million. Remember the last one, her concert movie, The Eras Tour from 2 years ago, did $96 million in that opening weekend, something like that, and totaled $180. So we're looking at possibly another huge weekend for Taylor Swift and for movie theaters, with The Smashing Machine likely in second with at least $20 million, unless one battle after another has strong hold that could make it stay in that close to 20 million range. Maybe it's a battle, though I think there's enough intrigue here for The Smashing Machine that enough people are going to be interested in seeing this that I think it'll do 20 million plus and come in second place. Like I said, Bone Lake, horror movie. Good Boy, also another horror movie. And then Anemone, which is Daniel Day-Lewis. The return of Daniel Day-Lewis. You know, he collaborated with Paul Thomas Anderson on 2 occasions. He had There Will Be Blood, and his last film, Phantom Thread, which we all thought was the end of the cinematic career of Daniel Day-Lewis, but he has returned for Anemone, which Focus Features is releasing. Also, the re-release of Avatar, The Way of Water, with some footage of Fire and Ash, will be coming out this weekend. I have seen as well on Apple TV Plus for Friday, The Lost Bus, which I talked about a lot last week here on LCJ Live. Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrera. It's a good film. I don't think it's perfect, but Paul Greengrass does a good job with it. And then Steve on Netflix Friday, Cillian Murphy. Not a fan of this movie. Not much of it works at all. I do have an announcement coming tomorrow about a television project I worked on recently that will be airing, should be scheduled to air this week. So look to my social media platforms. That's X at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson, and more. Lights-camera-jackson.com, of course, lcj.podbean.com, animationscoop.com. Look to all of those for updates and the announcement tomorrow on something very cool I got to do and participate in that will be scheduled to be airing this week. And if you want my conversations with the makers of Paris and Pups, go to animationscoop.com, the new Paris Hilton animated show, and The Sisters Grimm, which is on Apple TV Plus Friday. I talked with those makers. Get that LCJ Q&A tomorrow at lcj.podbean.com. It's also at animationscoop.com. All right, that's it. That's LCJ Live. That's the rundown. Enjoy your Sunday. Fly, Eagles, fly. Enjoy The Simpsons, Krapopolis, the new Fox animated shows. Hope The Smashing Machine is good. I'll have my review of that this week and more. Probably going to see Anemone as well. And we may not be here next weekend for LCJ Live, figuring out a few schedule things. Keep it to the socials for updates, but some cool stuff happening next weekend. So we'll see you soon for LCJ Live with the final quarter of 2025. 3 months to go. Big award season contenders, blockbusters, and hopefully some very good films on the way. Thanks for being here for today's episode of LCJ Live. Have a good Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.